Hey guys, so it's Wednesday and yesterday you guys started the bone, so you did your theory. Okay, now I'm going to lecture on that theory, okay, because you're going to test tomorrow. So on this, I'm going to be standing up a little bit, maybe showing you my arms and stuff like this. I had something else planned, but I couldn't do it. So I'm just going to do this and run through it to give you guys a good way to remember stuff. Plus, I posted another video that I think is really great. It's from an RN, and he did a really good job of explaining and helping you to remember things, because you're not only going to be just doing this one time, you're going to see this on another test as well. Now, the skeletal system is composed of about 206 bones, okay? So anytime that you think of bones, you're talking about OS, which basically kind of means bone. So it's osteo. So if you hear of osteoarthritis or anything that starts with osteo, you're talking about bones. Always remember bones when you hear the word osteo. Now, the bones of the skull basically is going to be divided into two parts. You have the cranium, which is up here, and then you have your facial bones here, and there's 14 bones in the face. You need to remember this, okay? 14 bones in the face, okay? So the first thing you have then that I've taught you guys so many times is occipital. Where's your occipital? Back of the head, that big hump in the back of your head. You can feel it. It has an indentation. Some have a larger occipital. You can feel it very prevalent, and some people don't. You can just feel it like a little smooth little heel in the back of your head there. That's the occipital region of the bone, okay? So then you have the parietals, which is here right at the crown, and then you have your frontal, the forehead. So it's easy to remember that. On the face, moving down to the face, the most important bone I want you to remember is this jawbone right here, what we call jawbone, which is actually a mandible, okay? It's the largest bone of the face, and largest bone that's found in the facial region. And it's also the strongest, because you have a great deal of pressure there when you're eating. I think it could go up to like 400 pounds of pressure. I don't know, but I got to check on that, but it is a huge bit of pressure. Okay, then we're going to start getting into the arms and the legs. And you can see this on the other video because he has an actual skeletal. And so that's something that I want you guys to do as well. You're going to get some instructions on how to make a skeleton and turn that in as well. So we're talking about first on the arm region right here, this large bone that comes from the shoulder all the way down to your elbow is called the humerus. Okay, so you know how sometimes you'll bump your elbow on the wall and it hurts, like it sends a shock all the way, and it's anything but humorous. It's not funny, but everybody laughs at us because we're like in pain and everything. That's called the humerus, okay? Then when you start going here to there, you're gonna have on the flip side of your arm, which is the thumb side here, the thumb side is called the radius. And then this bone here on the other bottom side, on the pinky side, is called the ulna, okay? So, and then when we get into here, okay, these are called phalanges, okay? Totaling about 14 bones as well. There's actually tarsals and metatarsals, but you can just go ahead and say the digits here actually are called phalanges, and that's what I want you to remember for your testing. Okay, so how can we remember some of these things? Some stupid things that you can do to remember these is very important. Anything you can do that's outside of the box that helps you to remember, that's what I want you to do. So just like something I can do is like you can go like this, and you're like, dude, that's rad, dude, that's rad. Okay, so you notice how your thumb is up? Okay, if the thumb is up and you're saying that's rad, an old 80 term that we used to use when we were in high school, rad, radius, thumb side. So the radius bone goes to thumbs up, and so that means you should be able to remember that this is rad, radius, thumb side, okay? Also, if you're in medical, you can always know that your radial pulse is here, and the radial pulse is always going to be on the side of the radial bone, radius, okay? Now, when you're talking about your legs, okay, so if you're looking at somebody and you're looking at their knee, the outside, not the inside towards the thigh, but the outside of the body, okay, let's look at all of them, okay? So one of the things is, you know, that from the waist down to your knee is going to be your femur, right? Okay, so then down below the kneecap on the inside, okay, is going to be the largest bone of that of your leg, or not the largest, but the next to the largest bone of the leg, below the kneecap, okay? Above the kneecap is your femur. Below the kneecap is going to be what we're going to basically give you a good way to remember this. But below that kneecap is going to be your tibia and your fibula, okay? Now the fibula is a very thin bone. It's going to the outside of the body. Okay, and it is, remember, you can remember fibula, flute. Okay, so remember, flute is a very small instrument, and so is the fibula. It's a very thin bone. But the tibula, like a tuba, is going to be a larger bone on the below the knee, on the inside. Okay, not the outside. Okay, so you can just remember, like, the lower bones below the knee in your leg is more like musical instruments: tibia, fibula, tuba, flute. Okay, if that helps out. Then just remember too that you also have the cranium. This is another thing I always remember with the cranium, is you have the occipital, the parietal bones, and the frontal, and then the mandible, right? So if you were to take your hand and put it on top of your head like this, okay, so your phalanges that are moving right here are going to be touching the forehead, right? Okay, so it's going to be touching your frontal bone. Where your hand lays is actually touching parietal. Where your thumb is actually right at the temporal. And then where your wrist portion hits back here should be at the occipital. Okay, so that's another good way of remembering. Anything you can come up with to help you remember those things is extremely important for you to do, so that you can try to come up with different ways to remember this, okay? So remember what the inner and larger bone of the forearm is attached, okay? It's attached to the wrist. Remember what that one is, and just remember there's 14 bones that are in the face. Remember your strong jaw bone is called the mandible. That's very important. And that the upper and largest bone of the arm extending from the elbow to the shoulder. Remember that when we said it's not very funny, but every time we hit it, a lot of people laugh. So that's your humerus. And the two bones form the side of the region is going to be up here, parietal, temporal. This is going to be your frontal, occipital. And then remember, in your forearm here, you have your radius and your ulna, and then that goes in tarsals and metatarsals, but these are phalanges that we want to do. Remember that off of Friends, Rebecca Phalange. So the largest and strongest bone of the face, which we already said, was your mandible. So that's very important to remember as well. So if you remember these things, you'll probably do very well in your testing. We're not going to go in depth on bone structure, just a little bit on there. So just make sure, watch your lecture series. There are info sheets in your Google Classroom that you can read under bones, which is going to be the 900 section under your topic in there. And there's another section called bones that you can go in under your topics. And then just remember to do your theory and your vocabulary. You should actually get 100 on your test. Shouldn't have any problems with taking the test. Okay, guys? All right. We'll talk with you tomorrow, and good luck with this. Stay safe.